They hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
I remember when I lost my mind, yeah. There was something so precious about that place, yeah. Guess what, folks? I'm starting to clear this allergy thing going on in my nose. I'm in a good mood. If you didn't know, your boy can sing. I'm Filipino. It's what we do. I don't really know where we picked up the karaoke thing. Either way, it's your boy. What's up with it? Famous Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst. Back at you with that uncut realness because that's the only way I actually know how to give it to people. No narratives, no BS, no nonsense, just that good boxing talk. So, the WBC is having its 60th convention out there in Acapulco right now, the first day. A lot of crazy news coming down the pipeline from the WBC. All hail the president, Mauricio Suleiman. All the champions are down there from the WBC. A lot of major fighters, of course, representatives from all the major promotional platforms, all the management companies, all kind of media personnel. And let's talk about this convention and the news coming down the pipeline from the convention in the WBC, shall we? First thing that I want to talk about, Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue is making a unification fight with Paul Butler to close out the year. Likely, most folks are thinking Naoya Inoue, the monster, is going to steamroll Paul Butler. And I'm one of those of that mindset, water. After that, Naoya Inoue will be moving up to the 122-pound super bantamweight division and vacating all of his belts. So it looks like this. Naoya Inoue might just become undisputed at bantamweight, vacate all his belts, move up to 122, which opens up the possibility of that dream pathway to a fight with Cool Boy Stephen Fulton. We've all been wanting to see that. For some reason or another, Stephen Fulton and MJ Akhmadalio's people have not gotten together for a title unification to get the undisputed stuff out of the way. This isn't about what's going on with Stephen Fulton. This is about the news that Naoya Inoue will be moving up to 122 after he fights Paul Butler. And also, they stated that Nonito Donaire will be moved to the number 1 position in the WBC bantamweight rankings, which basically sets up a fight between him and Jason Maloney when Naoya Inoue vacates his WBC belt. So all kind of possibilities for fun fights in that first half of 2023, thanks to the news coming down the pipeline from the WBC convention out there in Acapulco. All hail Mauricio Suleiman, one of the smoothest talkers in the game, who is not an easy person to pin down when you want to get serious answers to serious questions, but that can be said of any major player in the boxing game. It's the nature of the sport. These guys are all slippery fellas, to say the least. Snake oil salesmen, whatever you want to call them. Conor Benn petitioned to be ranked with the WBC once again because they took him off their rankings list after the clomiphene test results came back from USADA. The WBC said, hell no, to the no. Conor Benn, you are not going to be ranked by the WBC until you figure out your situation with the British Boxing Board of Control and those clomiphene test results. It's not looking good for your boy Conor because it looks like he is absolutely hell-bent on not taking accountability for that showing up in his bloodstream in both the A and B samples. If it shows up in the A sample, it's going to show up in the B sample. Assuming the B sample doesn't somehow magically disappear, a la Dillian White. So, more news on the WBC 60th annual convention going on in Acapulco. This one kind of threw people for a loop, but it's not a loop that's unbreakable. The winner of Artur Beterbiev versus Anthony Yarde will be ordered to fight the mandatory challenger Callum Smith. Now, before everyone gets mad and says, oh, they're trying to throw a monkey wrench into the undisputed Artur Beterbiev Dimitri Bivol fight number 1, it's not a foregone conclusion that Beterbiev is just going to steamroll Anthony Yarde, even though I think he will. I was never big on Anthony Yarde. No offense to Tunde and the Lions in the camp. But should Artur Beterbiev beat Anthony Yarde, which many suppose he will because Artur Beterbiev has a 100% knockout to win ratio and is undefeated thus far in his unified light heavyweight championship career, He will be ordered to fight Callum Smith next, and Callum Smith is awesome. He caught that one loss on his record, his blemish, at 168 against Canelo Alvarez, and at 175 thus far has looked unstoppable. He fought Lenin Castillo and damn near put that man into a seizure. It was crazy. But the good thing is, should Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol end up the guys with the championship belts after this Yard fight, even if Yard is there, a petition for an undisputed fight will trump all the other people. They want to unify the belts. Obviously, all the sanctioning bodies want to get the belts together so they can get the great sanctioning fees, because you know how the sanctioning bodies work. They all want a cut. So, Callum Smith, although his name is in the mix, he's likely going to take step-aside money, if not just outright step-aside for free, while they prioritize an undisputed fight. The one that actually ended up on top of the dog pile is being more sought after than, say, Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford. For the sake of boxing fans and the hardcore fans in general, I think most of us are taking Spence and Bud as a foregone conclusion that it's likely not going to happen. Maybe it does. I want to hold out a sliver of hope, but my emotions, nah, man. I'm done getting played on that tip, y'all. So, the last bit of business, two more pieces. The WBC in its 60th convention out there in Acapulco also stated that all Russian and Belarusian fighters will be dropped from WBC rankings because of the conflict going on in Ukraine. I don't even want to get into the geopolitics of that mess. Why does the WBC have no problem doing business in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, despite the fact that they've got a spotty record when it comes to certain human rights and women's rights issues? But this isn't about that. This is about Russia and Belarusians being taken off the ranking systems for the WBC. The only person I see that is massively affected, that is in the consciousness of hardcore boxing fans' minds, might be Zaur Abdualev, the lightweight that lost to Devin Haney. Zaur Abdualev is up there in the top 5 in some of those sanctioning bodies, or at least the top 10 in a few of those sanctioning bodies. He's based in Russia. Oh, he's screwed on that one. The other fighters that are out there, I mean, you've got Bader Akhmadov, who's from the Ukraine, based from the Ukraine, represented Uzbekistan or some other country that was not Russia. You've got Bakram Murtazaliev. He's based in California as far as I know. I don't know what his status is, to be honest. I think he is a resident in California. I don't know if that affects his status as being able to compete. Also, if you're from Belarus or Russia, you cannot compete for a WBC title. So that does not affect Artur Beterbiev. He is a naturalized Canadian citizen. And in fact, Dmitry Bivol, who many consider to be Russian, is from Kyrgyzstan. So he is Kyrgyzstani, though he speaks Russian. He is half Korean by lineage, but Kyrgyzstan is an Asiatic country that is not Russia, so it's not included in that ban. So as far as that goes, no impediments on a possible Artur Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol fight, hopefully before the middle of next year. Artur Beterbiev is not getting any younger, folks. Now, the WBC is also voting on whether or not to make it mandatory to have a women's bout on every WBC championship card. Now, that's very interesting. Should they force the issue of women's boxing down boxing fans' throat? Will this affect the kind of money that women fighters can make? You figure you get a stack card, whether it be a Matchroom event or it's a Top Rank event or a PBC event. If there is a WBC championship fight on those cards, is it really enforceable or logistically reasonable to want to force them to have to throw a women's card on there? Now, I love me some women's boxing, y'all. If you follow my platform, you know, Hot Boxing Minute, I rock with women's boxing. I love it. But is it something we want to start cramming down boxing fans' throats? I don't know. Toxic masculinity is an interesting thing. I have a hard enough time on my own trying to get the guys to really get emotionally invested into women's boxing. They're going to come into the fold slowly, folks. You got to put out the good fights. And I have no problem with that. I'm going to watch damn near all the fights because I'm a boxing degenerate. But these guys still hiding behind that toxic masculine wall, it's going to take them a second, and forcing them to watch some, 10th fight on a stacked fight card is not going to be the move, I think, to actually help the visibility of women's boxing in the sport. Just my opinion. Anyways, those are the news coming out of the WBC, the major pieces of news coming out from the WBC convention today. Boxing community, what do you think about these various, edicts and statements that the WBC released today? Naoya Inoue moving up to 122. How do you feel about Russia and Belarus getting kicked off the WBC rankings list? Should we enforce women's fights on WBC championship cards? Leave a comment in the comments section. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. We got a big fight coming up this weekend on the DAZN card. I believe it's Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't actually check the location, so let me look this up real quick. My boy, Sonny Edwards. Oh, it's in Sheffield Arena in England, out there in your boy Sonny Edwards' backyard. Lucky for him, Sonny Edwards is going to be fighting Felix Alvarado. Sonny Edwards is the IBF flyweight champion. Felix Alvarado is a former champion and a knockout machine. This is going to be the toughest test for Sonny Edwards. Oddly enough, Sonny Edwards is of a championship pedigree. Clearly, he defended his junior flyweight belt when he did have it. Then he became the IBF flyweight champion when he beat the 10-year or 11-year reigning champion Maruti Mthalane in a very one-sided unanimous decision fashion. Felix Alvarado is 38-2 with 33 knockouts. His only losses came years ago at the hands of Kazuto Ioka and Juan Reveco, both of them multiple division flyweight kings. So it's not too bad to have lost to those two fighters. In the flyweight, super flyweight, bantamweights, these guys are constantly doing a round robin and fighting each other. And unlike the higher weight classes, they always fight the best of the best because that's the only way to ensure they get a decent paycheck. And sometimes the payouts aren't even that big. But Felix Alvarado has only lost to two of the best guys in that divisional movement of the last 5 to 7 years. So 38-2 with 33 knockouts. He's from Nicaragua. So he's a tough dude. Felix Alvarado is no joke. He is a come forward pressure application fighter with power in his hands. Got a decent enough jab, a vicious looping hook and overhand right that puts people down. His body work is solid. You got Sonny Edwards. He's 18-0. He's only got 4 knockouts. Sonny Edwards is not the most heavy-handed dude, but he knows his voice fighting. And he knows that he has to stay mobile and he has to use angles. And he will just tap, 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 dot you up the entire fight. It can break down a fighter's confidence to fight a guy like Sonny Edwards. It's frustrating. You're swinging for the air you can't hit. Sonny Edwards is a multifaceted fighter, a defensive slickster, not the heaviest puncher, but he's very disciplined, very technical. He can switch hits, southpaw to orthodox. He throws the jab well off both sides, and his check hook off both sides is classy stuff. It's going to be fun. I was trying to find footage of both of them fighting. I tried to find footage of Felix Alvarado fighting a mover. The closest I found recently was footage of him fighting DJ Creel from South Africa. This was like his second to last fight. And DJ Creel, as mobile as he was, just isn't the kind of movement that Sonny Edwards poses, but it was definitely a one-sided washing. Felix Alvarado got the knockout and beat that dude something nasty. It was fierce. And Sonny Edwards, the closest thing he's ever encountered to Felix Alvarado is Maruti Mthalane. And Maruti Mthalane isn't exactly a stalking, heavy-handed, juggernaut of a puncher. He's a puncher with strong boxer features. And at the time, he was like 40 years old or close to 40 when he fought Sonny Edwards. So it's hard to get a good gauge. Sonny Edwards' key to winning, clearly, is to stay highly mobile, to not get stuck in the trenches against a guy like Felix Alvarado. Felix Alvarado's goal, clearly, cut the ring off, put in that work against the ropes, break down Sonny Edwards' body early. It's such a fascinating matchup. Sonny Edwards, if you're on boxing Twitter, you'll probably rock with Sonny Edwards. The man is one of the most outgoing and easy to communicate with professional championship fighters in the game right now. You can go on Twitter, directly hit him up on his line, and he'll answer. Sonny's just one of those cool dudes. So it's hard because I definitely feel biased towards Sonny Edwards, and maybe that's blinding me. I believe Sonny Edwards has what it takes to stay laser-like focused and to not stand and bang with a bruiser and a killer like Felix Alvarado. Felix Alvarado is a monster. So either Felix Alvarado is going to get the knockout early or Sonny Edwards is going to style on him and somehow pull a decision at the end of the fight. I'm going to lean in favor of Sonny Edwards. Boxing community, how do you see that fight going between Sonny Edwards and the knockout machine, Felix Alvarado? Let me know in the comments section, y'all. Hit that like button. Let's chop it up. Y'all already know the deal. This is Hot Boxing Minute, the future of boxing analysis on TikTok and YouTube. Until the next video, y'all. Peace.